Okay, Chevra, welcome. I think we'll get started. Great to see everybody. So nice to see everybody. Smiling faces, Baruch Hashem. Okay. Jeff and Rabbi Yoina, I see that you have smiling faces in picture. That's also nice. Live is better, but even the nice pictures are also nice. Sandra told me that she heard Rav Arush say this week that he's like the minister of smiles. I don't know if that's the Sar HaChiyuchim or something, but it's all nice to see all the smiling faces, for sure. So before we get completely started, I just want to make two mazel tovs. One, she's not here right now for a good reason, to Elisheva Zucker, who got engaged, I think yesterday, to Yankee Weinberg, and they're mamish both very, very holy people, both very connected to Rabbi Nachman, and they should mamish have a lot of shalom bayis, and everything should go well. I don't know how they're going to make a chasana now, but they'll figure it out. And second, a mazel tov to my son, who as of right now as of like a few hours ago, is bar mitzvah. So my oldest son, Akiva Meir. So we're also doing something this Mazel tov. And also, we're not really doing anything because we can't, but all the kedusha and all the mitzvahs are still there. So we're very, very, very happy for everybody. Okay,
having a Zoom bar mitzvah tomorrow morning?
He has a thing at school. Baruch Hashem, they're back in school. So there's, he gets to be together with the friends, and that's at least something. Okay, so we're going to go weiter after those nice mazel tovs. I don't want to spend a lot of time on our on the review today because I want to get moving a little bit and focus on what we ended off with and how we're going to go forward from there. Because we ended off, I don't know if you remember, we ended off with a subject that we haven't really dealt with before, that seemed a little bit scary and a little bit kind of dangling, right, and not seeming really finished off. But we'll talk about that in a second. So the main thrust of this Torah from the beginning was this concept that in order to bring shalom into the, first of all, we want to bring shalom into the world. And in order to do that, we have to raise up the kavod of Hashem to its source in Yira. And in order to do that, we have to use Torah's chesed. We have to bring the Torah that we send outward to other people into the world. And the main place we see this happening is when people who are far away from Kedusha come close. People who are far away from Hashem in a certain way come closer to Hashem. And we saw this with Yisro, we see this with Geirim, we see this with Balei Tshuva, and it's always a tremendous injection of Kedusha into the world when such a person becomes close to Hashem. And as we said last time, from some of the commentaries on Likutei Moharan, there's also, we talked about this inyan of peace, shalom, and this idea of shalom ba'atzamav, that first a person has to develop peace in themselves, inner peace in their own bones. And once they have peace in their own bones, then they can affect the rest of the world in a positive way. But we first have to, like people say in English, got to take care of what's in your own backyard first. So dealing with our own personal inner peace, only then can we bring peace into the rest of the world and into the rest of the Oilamos, into the rest of the worlds. And we have this concept that we have to be connected to the peace of Shabbos, right? We say Shabbat Shalom, right? Shalom is connected to Shabbos in a very serious way, and it's connected to the fact that we wear special clean clothes on Shabbos, special clothes, because there's this concept of that Balei Tshuva and Geirim have, where they have soiled garments that come from our background, where we've been in the past, where we come from, and those soiled garments are like husks that is surrounding us and stopping us from growth, stopping us from getting closer to Hashem. So when we remove those garments, we're able to get closer to Hashem, we're able to move to Kedusha, we're able to be more free and filled with more peace. And every time we make these steps and we conquer something in our own personal existence, we're removing one more blockage and bringing ourselves one more layer closer to Kedusha, closer to holiness, closer to Hashem, closer to Emunah, closer to Simcha, happiness, closer to all these beautiful things. The garments. And we said that it goes according to every person on their own level. Every person is different, and we're all moving up in our connection to Hashem, and we all have the garments that we have to remove from ourselves. There's so many deep things to talk about here. Hopefully, we'll get into some again. Like every one of these points, we could just spend hours talking. But okay, so then we started in the story of Rabbi Bar Chana. And in the story of Rabbi Bar Chana, he explained all of the concepts that we saw so far. And we'll just give a quick rundown of those and finish on the one that we finished with and go onward from there. So basically, the story said that the merchant, just give me 1 second, sorry. Speaking of funny noises, just let me mute myself here. I gotta blow my nose. Okay, pardon me. All right, so we said this Arab merchant came and took Rabbi Bar Chana to the place where heaven and earth kiss. And the explanation of this was inner peace, was shalom ba'atzamav, peace inside a person. And that the heaven is referring to a person's soul, and the earth is referring to a person's body. And kol zman, that there's a machlokes between these two things, as long as there's a tension between these two things, a person doesn't have peace. When my soul is fighting against my body and my body is fighting against my soul, I don't have peace. When my body wants me to lie on the couch and watch movies, and my body wants me to eat junk food, and my body wants me to do all kinds of terrible things, and I'm fighting against, and I don't want to do it. I know I just want to be a holy person, but there's no peace. It's a constant battle between those two things. Mashain Ken, when a person is able to humble their body corresponding to their soul, and is able to be mavatal, we're going to see inside in Likutei Halachos a bit this week what this really means. When a person is able to what's the word I'm looking for? What's a good word for machnia? And don't tell me it's the verb for humble. When a person is able to squish down, break, humble their bodily urges against their soul, then everything can flow. And there's no machlokes, and everything flows the way it's supposed to flow. So that's the place where heaven and earth kiss. And in that place, that's where tefillah is. There's windows. And windows in this story was referring to tefillah, to prayer. Because prayer is the way that we accomplish this. And so Rabbi Bar Chana, his minig was he took his basket, which was referring to bread, which was referring to this world, parnasa, and bodily inyanim, and he put it up in the windows of Shemayim. Because when he davened, he put everything into ruchnius, and nothing into gashmius. And his hanhaga was, and what Rabbeinu is teaching us over here, and many of the commentaries talk about this, that really we should aim our tefillahs completely to the side of ruchnius. And that means, so for example, when Rabbi Bar Chana was davening the Shemon Esrei, and he said, Rifa'enu Hashem v'nei rafeh, heal us Hashem, and then we will be healed. How could that? Why is that not a physical Indian? What was he really davening for? What was he really praying for? He was praying that his soul that has blemishes, his soul that has problems, his soul is sick, and his soul should be fixed. So why was he aiming only for the realm of ruchnius? What if Itaka was sick? What if he needed parnasa? He did need parnasa. So why didn't he just daven for parnasa? Why didn't he just daven for real physical healing? Because he knew that when things upstairs are fixed, when the spiritual realms are repaired and are flowing the way they're supposed to, then the physical corresponding shefa that comes down from that will automatically flow. So if a person has a problem with their physical health, there's a problem upstairs somewhere. So when they fix the spiritual problems upstairs, it will automatically have a trickle-down effect. That's a Ronald Reagan quote right there. A trickle-down effect into the world of physical health for that person. Right? And so too, if a person needs parnasa, that means there's a blockage somewhere in the upper realms. And if a person can fix that blockage, then there will be a real Reagan trickle-down monetary effect into that person's pockets with parnasa. Right? That's the way that Rabbi Bar Chana aimed his tefillas. And that's one of the inyan that Rabbi Menachem is teaching us over here. It reminds me of something I heard from a very holy Jew one time about the concept of hishtadlus. This is not a black and white statement. It's not an always statement. It's not an all or nothing statement. But everybody knows what the word hishtadlus means? Right? So it generally refers to the balance of our effort compared to our emunah and bitachon in Hashem. Meaning, we have to have strong emunah and bitachon in Hashem, right? But we also know that Hashem doesn't want us to just go and lock ourselves in a basement or a mountaintop or wherever and just sit there and be connected to Hashem and just assume that everything is going to happen. And someone will bring me my tefillin in the morning to put on. Someone will bring me the food that I need. We don't do that. We have to make a normal worldly effort that somehow corresponds to our own spiritual stature. Right? So, that's one way to look at it is that I have to work. I have to go to work, and I go do my job, and then when I put in my effort to make my money, what I need for my family, then I have to have emunah that it's really coming from Hashem. And then I'm just in essence, I'm like opening the tap, and Hashem is flowing everything towards me. We have to do our part, and then we have to have emunah that it's all going to happen, right? So, one of the holy Rebbes, a Talmud of the Baal Shem Tov, I think this is in the name of the Mezritcher Maggid, who was the main Talmud of the Baal Shem, said that, but you know what the real hishtadlus is? What is our real effort? Our real effort is tefillah, is prayer. In other words, it's not just the physical hishtadlus. Our main hishtadlus, our main effort in the world is talking to Hashem. Right? That's how we cause the tap to be turned on to flow to us. We may have to also do a little bit of physical work. We may have to, go and have a job and make calls to Italy and do all these things that we have to do, right? But we have to pray. We have to daven to Hashem that it's all going to happen, and then the taps will open and everything will come down. So prayer is really the place where everything has to be aimed, where all this stuff comes from. So anyway, Rabbi Bar Chana was upstairs in the upper realms, and he dedicated all of his prayers. He was a holy person. He was completely mesukan. He was all fixed up spiritually. Everything was in its place. But after he came out, he still didn't have parnasa. He wasn't making money. He wasn't getting the mazonos, the food and money that he needed. So what's the story? So the story told us, Rabbi Bar Chana, that it's because of Gilgulim. And that there's a whole cheshbon of reincarnation. That sometimes there's things that have to be accounted for. There's tikkunim that have to be made. Reparations, soul corrections that have to be made. And irrespective of what I'm accomplishing spiritually in my current life, and it may look like on paper, if you were someone who could read the soul of a person, it may look like this person has done everything right in order that they should be able to have a strong parnasa. Right? So what's wrong? It could be that there is something from a previous life that has to have a tikkun, and this person is struggling for parnasa right now because that's exactly what they need to make a tikkun from their previous existence. And once they're finished with this tikkun, that's going to be it. They're going to go straight to Gan Eden. right? And there's many stories. I know we told a story last week about the Baal Shem Tov, and I think we told it anyway, and a court case, a monetary court case. You remember that story? There's a beautiful story that we've told before also in the Garden of Emunah that Rav Arush brings down, a story from the Arizal. You guys remember this story? It's about a very well-respected Baal Chesed in the community, and he gives money to the community, and the community loves him, and he's totally amazing, and he has a wonderful family and a little 3-year-old child. You remember this story? Some people yes, some people no. I'll tell this story b'kitzer right now, a little short version of this story because it's very applicable to what we're talking about. So the story goes like this: that there was this person, and everyone in the town loved him. Why? Because he was just a great person. He was a good business person, so he had money, and he gave a ton of money to the community. People who needed money for whatever they needed it for. He kept a lot of people going. And not only that, he did it with a smile. He was a good person. And not only that, every morning he studied. He went to shul and he davened and he had chavrusas. He learned Torah a lot. He was a totally amazing person, and just like everyone in the community loved him. And it happened that he got very sick, and people were very worried, and it was not looking good. He was getting very sick, and I'm really condensing the story, by the way. And everyone was upset. Even the rabbi was like, how could it be that this holy person, this amazing, amazing, special person is getting so sick and is really on his deathbed. And so, Nebuch, had happened that a little while later, this person passed away. And the community was brokenhearted. And they were up in arms. How could it be? How could such a thing happen? And in particular, the wife of this person was totally broken, and she couldn't be consoled. And we have it in Jewish law that we're supposed to mourn at specific times for a certain amount of time, but we're not allowed to be depressed for a long time. We're not allowed to hold on to mourning for too long. And she could not let go for a long time, months and months and months and months after her amazing husband passed away. And their children were trying to get her to move on. Mama, you have to go and meet a new husband. And she wouldn't even leave the house. You have to come out, come to us for Shabbos, come out of the house. She couldn't leave the house. She was barely getting out of her bedroom, and she was totally broken. How could it be that this amazing person was just taken? How could it be? And there's more to the story. The 3-year-old child of this beautiful man and his wife was beaten to death in a pogrom. And how could it be that this child, innocent little 3-year-old child, was beaten like this? So, long story, a little bit short. She ends up having a dream one night. And in this dream, she is taken upstairs, I think by an angel, if I remember correctly, up into the upper realms. And she goes up there, and she says, she's told that she can see the place where her husband is, up here. So this Malach says, now look, way up there, in that high spot. You see up there? So they go up, and they see that there's a big shiur being given, and all the biggest tzaddikim are listening to a shiur that's being given over in Shemayim. And so after a little while, the shiur finishes, and everybody comes out to go to the coffee room in Shemayim. I'm just kidding. After the shiur is finished, she sees who is the one giving the shiur, and it's her husband. Her husband is the one giving the shiur. So she's like, what? I don't get it. How could it be? I know my husband was a righteous person, but he gave a lot of tzedakah and he was good. He studied, but he wasn't the biggest tzaddik, Talmid Chacham that ever walked the face of the earth, that everyone in heaven is listening to his shiur. What gives? So she's told that, what you don't know is that in a previous lifetime, your husband was the biggest tzaddik and the biggest Talmid Chacham in the whole entire world. And he was the wisest person in the whole world. And he was close to Hashem, and he was very, very holy. But he had a problem. In that life, he didn't get married, and he didn't have children. And that's not a complete tikkun. So he had to come back into the world and make a tikkun for that previous life, where he was almost perfect. He just had these two things to fix. He had to get married and have children. So he came into the world, and he got married, and he had children. And right when he had been married long enough and had enough time to raise up some children to the right age, he was taken out of the world by an illness, not because he was a bad person, but because he was done. His place straight up at the top of Gan Eden was ready for him. And so then she looked up higher, and she said, what about, I understand, but what about my child? What about my sweet 3-year-old child? How could it be that this would happen? So the angel said, you see way, way, way up there? Way up there, there's a place that we can't even go to. In the highest places. And your child, your 3-year-old son, was one of the holiest people that ever walked the face of the earth. Ever, in all time. And the only thing the only tikkun that soul had to make was that when the child was born, it was taken away and was nursed by a less than reputable woman for 3 years. And then that baby, that 3-year-old, got reunited with his family and became one of the holiest people to ever walk on the earth. And that little child had to come back, that soul had to come back and only make a tikkun to be born to holy parents and to nurse from a holy Jewish lady for the first 3 years of his life. And then the tikkun was complete. And that soul is so holy and so high that we can't even see from where we are where that soul is supposed to be. So that's a condensed version of this awesome story. And why am I telling that story right now? The main thing that we're talking about over here is tikkunim from previous lives. And that we don't always know what we're doing here. And it can seem to us that I'm trying to work hard to make money. I'm trying to be a good spouse, a good parent, a good child to my parents. I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to be holy, I'm trying to make money, I'm trying to find my marriage partner, whatever I'm trying to do. And why isn't it happening? Right? I could be doing all the right things and I don't necessarily know why it's not happening. These stories are teaching us that there's a cheshbon, there's a accounting that's going on. And we always know this is not easy information to deal with, by the way. It's not an easy path to follow. But it is the path of truth. And it's important that we have this in the back of our mind so we can deal with our own challenges in this way. One of the things that we're seeing over here is that we have to know that wherever we find ourselves, in whatever the situation that we're in, Hashem has us there for a reason. And we're facing our challenges for a reason. There's something that has to happen. And we may not get it, and it may seem unfair to us, and it may be difficult and painful. But we're there for a reason, and Hashem loves us more than we will ever know. And Hashem is putting us on a path that is necessary for us. And it's the hugest kindness. It's exactly what we need. Exactly what we need. And if we can be open to this, and we can, we're allowed to feel pain. And it's going to be difficult, and we're going to face, difficult challenges. But as long as we're always open to the fact that there's Ratzon Hashem, and that there's a cheshbon, and that we're being guided on a path, then in every situation that we find ourselves in, we can say, you know what? All I know I'm looking at a few of you here that I've had this conversation with. My job is to do my part. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. The outcome is not up to me. I'm going to put in my efforts. I'm going to do the things that I know I'm supposed to do and put in my work in the realm of practical hishtadlus, in the realm of tefillah and mitzvahs and hisboidedus and all the holy things I need to do, and emunah. And I have to know that the rest of the path that Hashem sets me on is exactly what I need, and I have to follow it. And I know there's people here who have experienced really difficult things. Really, really difficult things. And are experiencing difficult things. And chas v'shalom, that it should sound patronizing, and I know that it's not easy. It's not an easy thing at all. But this is the emes. This is the sweet, sweet connection that we can develop with emunah. This is the way that we can live our lives with meaning and with a little bit of understanding if we're open to Hashem running the world. And this is what Rabbi Nachman is saying here. This is what Rabbi Bar Chana, the holy tzaddik Rabbi Bar Chana, from the Gemara is telling us. And how do we make sense of this? The rest of this Torah that we're going to learn right now is a little bit hard to piece together, but there's one way that it goes together in such a sweet way that we're going to see now. So that's the end of the story. And we then have this quote, Kinim ta'aseh lecha, Kinim ta'aseh leteva. It says about Noah's Ark. The Torah says, make kinim, compartments for the ark, for the teva, the ark. The Medrash says, ma kinim metarin as a mitzayra, just like kinim, which is like a bird's nest. Birds are used to purify the mitzayra, the person who said lashon hara and got tzaras, right? Af tevazecha metahartcha. Also, your teva noach is gonna purify you from the rest of your generation, right? So what's pshat? The mitzayra who said lashon hara caused a pirud to happen, caused a separation to happen.
Tell people what page in the book?
Sorry, 322. So this person who says lashon hara causes hatred and anger and machlokes, and causes husbands and wives to be separated, causes friends to be separated, God forbid, right? And that person who causes this separation and takes away peace, the pathway of this Torah that we're learning is all about peace, inner peace and universal peace. The person who speaks lashon hara tears peace away and causes hatred and anger and separation. And that person can only be, their purification comes through kinim, which is these birds. Just like, because he's a chatterbox, he's always talking and saying bad things, so too the birds which are chirping are the tikkun for him. So it said, so too you, Noach, but so too to us. Your purification is going to come through the teva, which is the Hebrew word for the ark, like Noah's ark, right? But it's also the Hebrew word for word. And the famous idea, many people say this is just a different take on it, is that your words, your tefillahs, you're talking to Hashem, the way you use your mouth in a holy way is what is going to bring you this level of peace. It's a beautiful, amazing level of peace. So, and it's going to end this machlokes, it's going to fix the machlokes, it's going to fix the anger, it's going to fix the separation, and it's going to bring peace. So, one of the ways I'm understanding this, and this is, you have to go a little bit outside of the box and read between the lines how these two pieces are connecting. And I think it's very clear, to me anyway, at least it's a path that I can understand, that we just brought this piece of Rabbi Bar Chana about this inyan of trying to do everything right, and still it's not going the way that you want it to go. It's still not happening. I'm trying to make the tikkunim that I need to make in my life. I'm trying to work on being a holy person. I'm trying to fix my ego. I'm trying to fix my anger. I'm trying to be generous and give tzedakah. I'm trying to do mitzvahs. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to do all these good things. But I keep facing obstacles. I keep facing things that are really hard for me. And I keep failing. And I keep trying, and I keep failing. And why isn't it going the way I want it to go? Why can't I find my shidduch? Why can't I find a job? Why can't I have shalom bayis? Right? Why can't my kids be in a better situation? Everything, all these things, why is it not flowing? What's the answer to this? How do we get to that peace where those things are not roadblocks and they're not soiled garments that are blocking me off from connecting to Hashem? Is through the teva. Is through talking to Hashem. Through talking to Hashem. For me, this is a slam dunk and so obvious, and I know for many of you, you'll feel the same way. When you have to work through things that are causing a war within you, right? These things that we face with that are difficulties. We're fighting this war. We're not at peace, right? Because we're battling. I'm battling against my ego, and I'm battling against my anger, whatever it is, my character traits. It's a battle. I'm not secure. I'm not at ease. I'm shaken up, and I'm in a battle. If I want to achieve that peace, I have to talk to Hashem about this. I have to deal with it. I have to talk to Hashem. I have to daven. I have to do His boirus, and I have to work through these things. Where's it coming from? What is the root of this problem that I have? Why am I always getting angry at people? Why am I always fighting? Why am I always, doing the opposite? Why do I never go and talk to people? Why am I afraid to go out and put myself out there? All these things that we face. The teva is the answer. I need to talk it out with Hashem for hours. And I know a number of you here do this. And we know that when we go and talk to Hashem for an hour about something, and we do this a few times in a row, oh my gosh, my life is different. I have a whole new existence. Because I've gone through things and I've figured things out, and what am I doing? I'm realigning. I'm understanding and making peace with what's happening in my life, and seeing why it's good for me maybe, seeing the path that Hashem's put me on, and everything is at peace now, because everything is going towards the same goal. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to fight against it. Right? Like, if I could give an example, imagine a scene where you have a little kid. My wife is a doctor. She works in operating rooms a lot, and she often has to deal with children. And so, for the most part, it goes pretty smoothly. And they talk to the children, and she's really nice to them, and then they put them to sleep, and it's all nice, right? For the most part. But every once in a while, there's like a kid who's just not going. And is not happy about this, and starts freaking out. And the same thing happens with some adults, by the way, also apparently. But okay, you're about to go for some type of procedure that's going to fix you. You got something wrong with you. You need, let's say you need your appendix out. I don't know, whatever it is, right? So you have to have this. And when you have this, it's going to be better. And everything's going to be great. You really need this. Right? But if you have fear and anxiety and anger and whatever, so you can picture this kid being wheeled down on the thingy, screaming and fighting the whole way along. You're not going to do this to me. You're not going to do that to me. Forget it, right? Right? All while they're in pain and right? So what are they fighting against? If the child would be more mature and would be able to understand, oh, you know what? Yeah, things are going to be a bit uncomfortable, but we have exactly what you need to fix you, to make that pain go away, to make you to be able to grow, to whatever the situation is. We got it. It's all figured out for you. You just got to come along with us. You got to give in and allow it to happen. So a lot of the peace that we're talking about over here, I know we're very off the page and not that much in the words, but a lot of the peace that we're talking about is that I am allowing Hashem to fix me. I'm going to allow myself to experience what I need to experience in order to make my tikkunim, to make my soul corrections, to do what has to be done. So that is what I think is going on here on a certain level, with Rabbi Nachman ending with the story of Rabbi Bar Chana and then going into this aspect of the teva and talking to Hashem. So we should all merit to take these words and make the best use of our time in talking to Hashem and working through our problems and really opening up and wanting to hear what Hashem has to give to us. So we're now going to see a new verse that is going to bring a lot of these things together again. Rabbi Nachman does this a lot, where he'll give us all these concepts and then show the story of Rabbi Bar Chana, how it all is hinted to in the story. Now he's going to show us also how it's all hinted to in a pasuk. And this is a pasuk that we say by Rosh Hashanah. V'zeh perush, tiku. The pasuk is tiku b'chodesh shofar b'keser liyam chagenu, which means blow the shofar at the new moon, at the appointed time for the day of our festival. So v'zeh perush, tiku. Tiku means to blow the shofar. Tikia, right? Tiku. So, says Rabbi Nachman, it's also a lashon of shalom. It means peace. How does it mean peace? Kamosha Kasuf, like the pasuk says in Yeshaya, Usakativ yased b'makom ne'eman. Stick it in to the ground as a peg, a foundation peg. Yased ne'eman. That means a secure, trustworthy ground, like when you stick something in the ground to hold up a tent or whatever. That is the thing that is giving security to that structure, right? So says Rabbi Nachman over here, what does that have to do with shalom? Because what does shalom give us? What does peace give us? Shalom, eh? What does peace give us? Peace gives us this aspect of security and gives us this aspect of emunah and bitachon, where we have who to rely on. We know Hashem's taking care of us. And we feel secure. And what do I always say a person of emunah is? Calm and confident. Right? Why am I calm and why am I confident? Because I have security. I have shalom. I have peace. I'm not being pulled this way and that. I don't have fears, and I'm not worried about what's going to be. Why? Because I have strong emunah. I have peace. That's living with peace. So that's the security. Peace is feeling secure. Emunah gives us tremendous sense of security. We should all be hopping onto it with all of our strength. So that's tiku, peace. B'chodesh shofar. In the new month, the shofar. B'hisparus chadash. With a new hisparus, a new glory. Hainu. Hisalus kavoidai ayedei hiskarvus gerim ebalei tshuva. So we said, what's bringing a new glorification of Hashem into the world is when someone comes from far away and comes close to Hashem. That's a new revelation of the honor of Hashem in the world. So for people who are Gerim and Balei Tshuva, this makes a lot of sense. And we see that this is a whole new level of peace when a person enters into a life of Torah and mitzvahs and emunah. Right? I now have peace. The peace is coming out. But so too, even if you're already a frummi, and you're already super religious, and you got a hat and a beard and a tichel and all these things, whatever the outward things are, right? You have all these things, you may be not living in peace. And there may be part of you that is very strongly holds on to Olam Hazeh, and is very strongly holding on to, nasty things and nasty habits, right? So there's two parts of you. And bringing that part that is holding on to these nasty aspects closer to Hashem is also a new revelation of the glory of Hashem. And is also bringing, I can be made up, I can be like a split personality, and I can convert my bad half. Chas v'shalom, I'm not talking about my wife, she's by far the better half. But I could bring my bad quarter, when I bring that closer to Hashem, I'm making that part of me a Baal Tshuva. I'm making that part of me convert, right? That's also a new revelation of the glory of Hashem. So that's this new revelation of the glory of Hashem, the raising up of the honor of Hashem through this aspect. But keseh, what does keseh mean? Keseh means, it's supposed to mean the appointed time. But here, it also means, says Rabbi Nachman, ze bechinas yira. All of this stuff is connecting to yira. Shehu shoresh hakavod. That's the root of the honor of Hashem. V'cheseh, so how is this fear? How does cheseh connect to fear? Oh, I see you, Yana. 1 second. Lashon hiskasya. It's a lashon of covering up, being hidden. What did we say is the real, true measure of a person's fear of Hashem, awe of Hashem? Is only in a person's heart. The innermost recesses of a person's heart that are private, where no one else knows. Because I can act like the holiest person in the world, but if my heart isn't in it and I'm doing it for the wrong reason, then it's all fraud, right? And we gave some examples that I heard from the older Breslovers, that someone holy comes into the room and you stand up. What are you standing up for? Are you standing up just to because you want other people to think you're holy? Oh yeah, I'm the type of person that stands up for holy people, right? I hear everyone else is connecting to this one person, and I'm going to also connect to that person, to this tzaddik, right? Are you connecting to this tzaddik because you have pure purposes and you want to connect to holiness, or are you joining the club that everyone else is doing, right? What's really in your heart? You can be doing a good thing, but it's still not true yira, true fear. So that's in the hidden realm. Something that is given over to the heart, that's where you say the fear of Hashem is there, the awe of Hashem is there. Because that's the thing that is hidden from the eyes of everybody. The truth, the real you, is only in the inner recesses of your heart. What did you want to say, Rabbi Yaina?
So I forget which Torah this is, but
Yeah.
Rabbeinu says somewhere that as long as you're in a group, as long as you're in this Gashmish world, you can never totally be detached from Klippa. Like you can never be totally separate from that pull, whether it's 0.1% of that pull, it's
Still there.
Once you leave your body, then you can experience that total Vegas.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be a part of you that's, I guess, struggling.
Yeah, 100%. He's also going to say later that the real shalom is only going to be once Mashiach comes. Mashiach now. Right? It's the only... that's when everything's going to be really clear. We're going to see it. It's going to come up soon. But I think you're absolutely right. There's always going to be some battle to some extent. But to the level that we can develop our emunah and that we can develop our tikkunim, our connection to Hashem, we will be more on the side of ahava and emunah and bitachon, and less on the side of fighting against that part within us. As Hashem. So we have now in this sentence we have shalom, tiku. We have b'chodesh shofar. We have the coming from far away closer to Hashem. We have bakese, meaning to fear, to the ultimate fear and awe of Hashem. And remember, when a person, imagine you're the person that can see that everything in your life is from Hashem. And every challenge is fixing me in a certain way. Imagine you can see, it's often easier to see this about other people. You can see how everything that's going on is mamish, the hand of Hashem, guiding everyone through. That is yiras Hashem. That's awe. That is yiras haremumus. That is seeing that Hashem is in control of every little thing. And Hashem is completely good and is always helping us. So the more that we develop this, we're going to get to this level of yira. And yira doesn't mean, oh, I'm afraid. Is he going to punish me? Nuh-uh. It means that I see, I'm in awe. I'm totally blown away by the Ribono Shel Olam, right? And we can only get higher and higher and stronger in this realm. Le'yoim, the next word in the sentence, le'yoim, the day. Zeh b'chinas shalom bayis. Yoim is referring to shalom bayis. We're entering a new parsha here. Ki yoim hu b'chinas or. Because daytime is in the day is when we have light. So Yom refers to or, refers to light. Kamosha Kasav, like the pasuk says in Bereshis, Vayikra Elokim la'or Yom. Hashem called the light. What did He call the light? Yom. He called it day. Day means light, says the Torah. Va'or hu shalom bayis, and light is shalom bayis. Light is shalom bayis. Everyone knows what shalom bayis means. Peace in the home. It usually means peace between husband and wife, but it means that that the home is filled with with peace. And like we keep saying, that means that everyone is on the same page. Everyone's moving in the same direction. Everyone has the same goals. There's no fighting back and forth. Everyone is taking care of each other. Everyone's thinking of each other and working together. Shalom bayis. And when we have shalom bayis, by the way, that is the biggest place, the biggest way to receive blessings from Hashem, is to have shalom bayis. So, like Chazal say, Ner Shabbos koydem lekiddush hayom. So the Chazal say in the Gemara on Shabbos that first you have to light the Shabbos candles, and then you make kiddush. In other words, you cannot be mekadesh Shabbos. You can't have a holy Shabbos without Ner Shabbos, without the Shabbos candles. The light of the Shabbos candles is what brings peace and shalom bayis in the house. And only once you have this are you going to be able to have a holy Shabbos. This is why, by the way, that so many people know, especially if you're married in a frum house, that the Yetzer Hara's strongest time against shalom bayis is Friday afternoon. That's when the Satan comes and tries to get a husband and wife to fight. Right in the thick of it, when things are the most difficult, time is short, things have to get done, oh my gosh, right? So we have to be prepared for that and know when it happens. Okay, I see this is the Satan, I see what's happening here. I am going to, turn off any ego and not argue, nothing, I'm sorry, everything I can possibly do to get rid of that. Because Shalom Bayis on Shabbos gives the holiness of Shabbos and gives Shefa. This is another aspect of peace. And they're all the same thing, all these aspects of peace. It's all when the holiness is all working together and when we're taking care of each other. And you're going to make a l'chaim, Alan. And we're we're all on the same page, right? And we're not fighting. We're not, right? Chagenu, the next one, Chagenu. Zeh bechinas tefillah. That refers to tefillah, prayer. Avoida. Like Chazal say, tefillah and avoida. How do we see that? Pasuk says, the Gemara says in Psachim, Lama nismecha parshas akum l'mayadim. Why is it that in the Torah, the parsha that talks about the avodah zara is right connected to the parsha that talks about the holidays? Loimar kol hamavazes hamoyados. Whoever desecrates the holy Jewish holidays, keilu oved avodas elilim. It's as if they are oved avodah zara. What does that mean? Nimtza shmiras hamoyed. Being careful with the holidays. Zeh bechinas avodah tama. That's an aspect of complete holy service to Hashem. Ve'in avodah ela tefillah. And what everybody knows, the Gemara says, what is ezehu avodah shebelev? What's avodah? That refers to tefillah. That's talking to Hashem. Vayde tefillah yavoy l'shalom haklali. And just like we said before, it's through this tefillah that we're going to come to shalom haklali. That means universal peace. Nimtza, one last bit. Misha roitze lahamshich shalom haklali. Comes out from this, everything that we saw, that a person who wants to draw down universal peace into the world, tzarich lahales hakavod l'sharash, has to raise up the honor of Hashem to its root, the glory of Hashem to its root. Hainu liyira, which is to yira. Vayadei hayira, who's zeich l'shalom bayis, and through this yira will merit to have shalom bayis. Vayadei shalom bayis, who's zeich l'tefillah, and through shalom bayis will merit to have tefillah, prayer. Vayadei tefillah, who's zeich l'shalom haklali, and it's through this tefillah that we will merit to come to shalom haklali, to universal peace. So there's a lot. This is a good place to stop. So we'll just wrap up with a little discussion here. There's a lot of levels, as there always are, to Likutei Moharan. And some of the stuff that we talked about over here has a lot of Kabbalah attached to it, and it's interesting stuff. And it has to do in part with the different spheres, and Malchus being the bottom sphere where everything comes through. And just like we said that the upper realms have to be fixed, when the upper realms are fixed, then the lower realms will automatically be fixed. So too, in a bigger picture sense, that's talking about an individual person. In a bigger picture sense, the upper spheres have to do with the different constellations, the astrological things. And in a similar way, it doesn't matter what's happening in the Malchus if those upper level things, which have to do with the mazalis, with mazal, are not where they're supposed to be, or are just different, it's still not going to come through Malchus, right? So in other words, we know there's this concept of mazal, right? And there has to be, things have to happen under the right mazal. And if a person is born in a certain month, they have a certain mazal. And that defines who that person is, and that affects their life, right? So, one of the aspects that we're dealing with over here is, and I think Rabbi Nachman is bringing out to us over here, is that we can experience this, where we want things to be a certain way, but they're not. Because things upstairs are just not that way. The mazel's not the way it's supposed to be. Things are not, the tikkunim haven't happened that are supposed to happen, right? But there's this idea that I'm going to read this actually from Rabbi Kramer's notes over here, because it's very beautiful. The Talmud, however, teaches that the Jewish people are above the dictates of the zodiac. As Rashi explains, through prayer, charity, and other deeds, a Jew can change his mazel for the better. This is because the Jewish people have their source in chokhmah, divine thought, as it relates to keser. So these two spheres are above the realms of astrology, and this is where we're supposed to be.
You say keseh or kesef?
Keter. Keter.
Keter. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Keser. That's where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be like that beautiful story of Avram Avinu. We're supposed to be above the stars. And one of the things that wise people say often is that if a Jew wants to put themselves under the stars and wants to deal with astrological things and mazel, and they put their energy into that, then they're going to be ruled by that. Hashem will allow that to happen. Like the Gemara says, we talked about this many times, right? That b'derech she'adam roitze leilech molichin by, which that if a person wants to go down a certain path, then they're going to be guided and allowed to go down that path. However, we see this in many, many, many places, and it's the most important thing. Our avodah is to raise ourselves above the signs of the zodiac, to raise ourselves above these things, and through tefillah, through talking to Hashem, through Torah and mitzvahs and chesed for sure, and through absolutely certainly connecting to Rabbi Nachman, connecting to the tzaddik, we have the ability to get out of the system and to say, you know what, Hashem, I don't want to be ruled by the month I was born in. I don't want to be ruled by that stuff. I want to have a direct path to you. I want you to have your hands on me and not to be going through these intermediary things. I don't want it to be like that. So there's a deeper thing going on here as well in what Rabbi Nachman is saying over here. But the main thing that we're saying over here, and I feel this very strongly, and it could be other people will understand it differently, is that there's a broader perspective of world peace, and there's a broader perspective of what's happening in all the different worlds and everything like that. And then there's what we can do. Like you said, we have to first take care of ourselves. We have to clean up our own backyard first. We have to make sure we have shalom ba'atzamav, that I have my own inner peace. And how can I do that? It's so simple, but not easy. I just have to always be open to Hashem. Always be open to the fact that Hashem is giving me what I need. And I have to talk to Hashem in a deep way to be able to see what's happening, to be able to receive everything that He's giving me, and understand my challenges, and understand my own character, and understand the tikkunim, the fixings that I have to make, the soul corrections I have to make, through emunah and hispoidedus. It's like Rav Arush always says, right? The pasuk we say during Hallel, He'emanti ki adaber. right? I believe because I speak, right? What will our say? If you speak to Hashem, you can have emunah. If you don't speak to Hashem, you can't have emunah. It doesn't work, right? So Rav Arush didn't make it up, right? You see, it's right in Rabbi Nachman over here. This is what he's saying. It's the teva, it's the tefillah, it's the prayer, talking to Hashem that is going to allow us to experience peace. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to be the person who's always at war and always on edge and always just feeling like things aren't working and things aren't flowing. Something's wrong. I don't want to always feel something's wrong, right? I want to be able to receive the blessings that Hashem is giving me, understand that He's giving me. I want to be the kid. I want to be the mature person going to the surgery, appreciating that, wow, yeah, you're going to take care of me. Thank you for sticking a needle in my arm. Thank you for giving me an IV. Thank you for sticking all these needles in me, because I know that it's going to help me, it's going to fix me. I want to be the person going along and every step of the way saying, okay, yeah, I'm facing another challenge today. Thank you, Hashem. I'm going to work through it with emunah, and I'm going to use it for a tikkun. So to me, this is the way I see this Torah flowing. And I'm, of course, Rabbi Nachman speaks to everybody, so I'm always interested to hear what other people have to say. But that's one way of seeing it in a beautiful, beautiful way that I think means a lot to us. So let's finish with this and see if there's any comments or questions. Okay, so everybody have an amazing, amazing week, and try to hear Parshas Zachor this week, Shabbos. And next week, Bezos Hashem, we're going into Purim, and Purim is, of course, one of the biggest times of tikkunim of the year. It's when everything gets flipped on its head. There's a tremendous power at this time of year for very, very big growth, for things that we've always been fighting to be flipped over completely and to make a totally new path. Everything is changed over. Just like by the Purim story, where it looked like it was the worst of the worst, and in the blink of an eye, the opposite happened, right? And the Jewish people came out on top in a beautiful way. So we should all tap into that power in our tefillahs, in our hisbodedus, the power of the month of Adar and the power of Purim, that we can also make a tremendous change and do a total 180 in one area of our lives, Breslov Hashem.